family didn't grow up with that much money. So admittedly, some of this stuff, I'm just kind of rolling my eyes. I'm like, is this the sort of problems rich people have? I don't know. So a lot of people had hyped up this show, The White Lotus, came out on HBO back in July. And, you know, admittedly, I had no idea what it was about. But if something is talked about enough, I get intrigued. I kind of want to see what all the hype is about. So I saw it was a mini-series, only 6 episodes, figured, all right, we're going to give it a try. And that's what I did. I don't know how I feel about The White Lotus, just like in general, as a whole. I want to get some of the good stuff out of the way because there are some very, very good things about this show. First of all, it is one of the most beautiful shows I've ever seen. Just like beautifully shot, beautiful setting. They know what they had here. They shot the whole thing on an island in Hawaii, and it is a beautiful island. I mean, this show, if you like sunsets, look no further. This show has some of the most beautifully shot sunset, sunrise, a lot of sun-related cinematography. It's all amazing. It looks gorgeous. They used clearly very expensive cameras. They shot the whole thing really well. Some just beautiful, almost like they should be hanging in a museum type of cinematography shots. So director of photography, cinematographer, all that, phenomenal job. It is an absolute pleasure to watch this show, just visually speaking. It is a visually gorgeous show. I cannot overstate how beautiful this show is. Other really phenomenal aspect of the show, the music, the soundtrack, so good. They use music in, I would say, like 80% of every single episode. And I understand why, because the soundtrack is so good and it fits the theme of this tropical island so well that I don't blame them. I mean, there are definitely parts where I thought they didn't need to use so much music, but I mean, at the same time, it's such a great soundtrack that I can't, fault them for wanting to use it as much as they could. And there's also points when they did need music and they made sure to pick a phenomenal piece to add to a certain scene. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This is incredibly well done from those aspects. Here's the thing. I sort of got the feeling as I watched this show, and it's an anthology series about a bunch of different people. I sort of got the feeling that this was a lot of style over substance. Not much happens. And, in the show's defense, they kind of tell you from the beginning, like, not a whole lot's going to happen. I mean, they tease in the first episode, literally within the first 30 seconds, all right? So this is not a spoiler. Someone dies. Somebody is dead. You don't know who it is because they flash back, and the whole show leads up to someone dying. In between that moment of dangling the someone's gonna die in the end carrot and the final episode when someone dies, almost nothing happens. These are hour-long episodes, and sometimes it's cool, it's fine that nothing happens because this is like a vacation. So should anything really happen? But there's also points where you're just sort of like, I'm like 3 episodes in. And so far, the feeling I got when I was about halfway through the show is that it felt like a really good-looking reality TV show about rich white people on vacation in Hawaii. And that's, that's most of the show, to be completely honest. There's not a whole lot of, great dialogue. There aren't really that many interesting plot threads. I mean, I guess some of this is opinion-based. You might find some of the plots interesting, but Alexandra Daddario, she had a pretty interesting one, but Jennifer Coolidge is another one. She had a sort of interesting story arc through this series, and her acting was great. I mean, it sort of seems most of the time like character in this show is not that far off from how she actually is, but she was great. Those two were great. I mean, nothing really. There's not a lot of substance. I don't know how else to say it. I don't want it to come off like the show is bad, because it's not like subjectively bad, or objectively, whatever the right one is. It's just kind of boring. And there were certain times watching the show where that was fine with me, because I could be, on my phone fiddling around and not really, I knew I wasn't going to miss anything important, because literally nothing important really happens for the entire series. But at the same time, I kind of want to feel like my time is being well spent and in getting invested. But then it's a mini series, so it's like, how invested can you even get? But I think then that kind of brings in the point of the beginning of the show, teasing that someone in the show is going to die. Because if it's an anthology, a character death, I didn't feel it. It's like you barely even really know any of these people. So a character death is supposed to be, this person sort of mattered to the audience. And it's not that the character wasn't great, but you only know them for five episodes, 6 episodes, and then they die, and you're like, all right, great. So, and then the show just is over. And, I get to an extent, like the vacation aspect, like the people who work at the hotel, it just starts over, right? New guests leave, new guests come in, whole thing starts over. But that's not what the show's about. It's not about the people who work at the hotel, and it's not about the people who visit the hotel. It's sort of just, it's like a reality show. I don't know how else to describe it. I think you're either gonna love the way this show is written, or you're gonna be like me and think that 99% of it's really boring and it's just nice to look at. Okay, want to get into some spoilers here. So, spoiler heavy for the next minute or so. Okay, so in episode 4, one of the girls on the vacation starts hooking up with one of the guys who works at the hotel and convinces him that he should steal from, her friend's family who she came with, because the island was stolen from him and his ancestors. And so that's a good way to get back and fight for the island and whatnot. And so she convinces him to steal this bracelet, which he does, even though he, spends a lot of time saying he's not that kind of person. But then he steals the bracelet. Then he beats the shit out of the dad when they catch him in the room, which is good, tense scene. And then he runs away with the bracelet, and you kind of think, oh, I guess he got out of it. Granted, he didn't change his shirt, and he's clearly holding a bag filled with something, so he definitely looks a little suspicious running off. And then in episode 6, they catch him, but they catch him off screen, and they just are like, yeah, it was one of the employees, but we got your stuff back, and we'll get it back to you as soon as possible. And then that's it. Okay, I'm not a big fan of stuff like that happening off screen, and I don't know how much the pandemic affected what they could and couldn't shoot. Telling that story off screen, kinda lame. It's to show the whole thing happening, and then for the resolution to be that he got caught somehow. I don't know, did he just give himself up? Track him down? I don't even know how they knew it was him, to be completely honest. They don't explain any of that. And that arc with this girl was one of the more intriguing arcs of like, yeah, you don't really think about like all the resorts in Hawaii that just are built on top of people's homes, that they just rip them out and they're like, no, we're putting vacation spots here. Okay, you get to the final episode, everybody's wondering who dies in the show. Now, first problem here, doesn't really matter because you don't really know any of these people that well. And they sort of give it away in the first episode that it involves the husband of Alexandra Daddario. Don't know the guy's name, but you know it involves him because he's the one looking out at the plane in the first episode. The human remains. Is that how they ship dead bodies? Also, why is the hotel guy... Anyway, why is he being shipped back to the States? I guess that's where Australia? I don't know why he's on that plane. Anyway, he has a knife next to his bed, so already you kind of know now, okay, they showed him in the first episode. Now he's got a knife next to the bed. He's going to kill someone. And they build up this rivalry between him and the manager of the hotel, which is a fun rivalry, sort of, even though it is kind of one-sided because this guy's just really mad he didn't get the right room. And he kills the manager of the hotel, accidentally, sort of, but also doesn't call for help. So, guy just dies in the bathtub, and then I guess he doesn't go to jail. I'm not really sure why, to be completely honest. They had a lot of music playing, slow motion, and he was talking to the cops. Maybe it's like a rich white people don't go to jail thing. I don't know. Some of the show feels like they thought they were making bigger statements than what they made, because so much of the show is style over substance that when they do try to do something of substance, it's kind of just like, you didn't really spend that much time on this, so I don't really believe that you actually want to make a point here. I think you just kind of wanted to do a fun, goofy show about people going on vacation in Hawaii. Yeah, he kills the hotel manager, who was probably the best part of the show, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just like people with Australian accents. Spoilers over, sort of. Hopefully spoilers are over. You know, at the end of the show, they tie up enough of the character arcs and the loose ends, I guess. But at the same time, it just sort of ends. And I don't know if this is something they would do another season of, because it's an anthology. So in theory, you could just, keep rerunning it. I don't know if that's the plan. I don't know if it's over now. I also don't know if the show's really... Do we need another season of The White Lotus? Again, I mean, most of the stuff on the show is not very serious. It's usually kind of comedic, kind of. I guess depending on how much money you had growing up as a kid. Some of this stuff, family didn't grow up with that much money. So admittedly, some of this stuff, I'm just kind of rolling my eyes. I'm like, is this the sort of problems rich people have? I don't know. Some of it kind of feels like when they had to change the SAT questions all those years ago because they realized that the questions were like, sort of, you would know the answer based on how much money you had growing up. That's kind of what this show feels like. I feel like it maybe was a little overhyped, but at the same time, it's impossible for that not to happen nowadays, because every show that comes out is the greatest show ever made, and it's incredible, and you have to watch it. And do you have to watch The White Lotus? Probably not. If you want to see really great Hawaii, tourism ad, check it out.